Students, good evening, everyone. How are you all doing? Hope you're doing good. So, students, welcome back to the session. Students, I have a piece of advice for you. Exams March lo unnai, but your revision should start right away. ఎంత తొందరగా స్టార్ట్ చేస్తే అంత మంచిది. మీరు do not take it easy. టైం చాలా ఉందనుకొని మీరు I'll start coolly తర్వాత స్టార్ట్ చేస్తాను అని అనుకోకండి. Because your targets are high. We are targeting 10 on 10 in maths and science. And we are also targeting exams like Tsrjc, Polycet, and competitive exams like those. So preparation ఇప్పటి నుంచే స్టార్ట్ కావాలి స్టూడెంట్స్. అంత ఈజీ కాదు, డిఫికల్ట్ కూడా కాదు, డూయబుల్. బట్ యూ నీడ్ ప్రాపర్ గైడెన్స్ అండ్ స్ట్రాటజీ. ఫర్ దాట్ యూ హ్యావ్ టు స్టార్ట్ ఎర్లీ. స్టార్ట్ ఎర్లీ టు స్టే అహెడ్. ఆల్రైట్, ఐ రిపీట్, స్టార్ట్ ఎర్లీ టు స్టే అహెడ్. మీరు ఎంత తొందరగా స్టార్ట్ చేస్తే మీరు అంత ముంగట ఉంటారు. ఇన్ ద కాంపిటేటివ్ ఎగ్జామ్స్ జోన్ you'll be ahead of everyone if you start early. And we have got a track record of making students crack exams like TSRJC and Polycet. మీరు కూడా క్రాక్ చేయగలుగుతారు. మేము లాస్ట్ బ్యాచెస్ లో చేసాము. ఇది ఫ్రీ సెషన్ స్టూడెంట్స్, సో టేక్ ద మోస్ట్ అడ్వాంటేజ్ ఆఫ్ ఇట్. అండ్ ఫ్రీ ఉంది, మేక్ ద బెస్ట్ యూజ్ ఆఫ్ ఇట్. గెట్ సీరియస్, టైం యూజ్ చేయండి. టార్గెట్ 10 on 10 and target exams like Polycet and TSRJC so that your career is made. 10th వరకు ఆగదు, మీ ఎడ్యుకేషన్ ఆగదు. It starts from 10th actually. So exams like TSRJC and Polycet are turning point in your career. All right. So let's get started. I request Fatima ma'am to continue the session.
Thank you so much, sir. I am just starting. Hello, students. Welcome to Jatadhara Educational Technology. I hope you all are doing great. Yes? And are you all ready for the session? Shall we start? Okay. All right. So in this class, we will be doing biology, and today's topic is respiration. Okay. As many of you were requesting for the revision of the theory classes. So in this class, we will do theory along with the questions. All right. Okay. Let's revise the thing. Let's do a quick revision. First of all, discovery of gases and respiration. Just give me 1 second. Okay. So, how does the term respiration came into use? Yes, a century after word breathing was used way back in the 14th century, it was used much before people knew that it is a mixture of gases. Okay. And they hardly knew anything about the life processes and that took place eventually in the living body. But respiration, which was used in the medical term, usually referred to a process involving passage of air and production of body heat. All right. It was, it was like, just give me a second. Okay. It was like until Lavoisier and Priestley, they found out and gave the conclusion about the discovery of the gases and the gaseous exchange. Then we came to know that there is something which is known as respiration also, right? See, here it is written, just give me 1 second, I'll take the pen pointer. It was not until 18th century when Lavoisier and Priestley did a comprehensive work on the properties of gases, their exchange and respiration, that we came to know something about how the processes of gases exchange goes on in our body. You have already studied about how Lavoisier and Priestley did their experiments regarding the gases in our previous classes, right? So that we are not going to discuss in this class. But after the discovery of oxygen and carbon dioxide, this respiration mechanism came into existence. Now, what is respiration? Respiration is a very complex process. Generally, it starts from the food, okay? And there are many cellular processes that goes on. When we say respiration, the first thing came into our mind, that is exhalation, inhalation of air. But that is not the right thing. Exhalation and inhalation means we are talking about breathing, right? But respiration is a cellular process, all right, in which breakdown of food is there, or you can say glucose is there, and then oxygen is transported throughout the body. Let's see how it goes on. See, it is a very complex process of several physical and biochemical process. Okay, just give a stand for understanding. Here we are considering first step of respiration is breathing. What happens in breathing? Air movement into and out of the lungs. Okay, after that, what happens? First, suppose you have taken in the air. Gases exchange at lungs level. Okay? Exchange of gases between alveoli and blood. Why alveoli and blood? Because over there only oxygen gets mixed with the blood. Right? And gas transport by the blood. That transport of oxygen from blood capillaries of alveoli to the body cells, and return of carbon dioxide as well. Then what happens? Gaseous exchange at tissue level. The oxygen which has been mixed into the blood, into the lungs, into the alveoli, after that exchanging of it will transport to every part of the body, right? That is only over here written, that is gaseous exchange at tissue level, exchanging of oxygen from blood into the cells and carbon dioxide from the cells into the blood. Both the processes goes on. All right, we are providing oxygenated blood to the tissue, hence providing oxygenated to the tissue cells as well, and we are taking their impure blood, that is carboxylated blood, you can say, that also is being carried out, because when we exhale out, carbon dioxide is there, na? Exhale out carbon dioxide only. That's why. So collection of carbon dioxide is also necessary. Then cellular respiration. Using oxygen in cellular processes to produce carbon dioxide and water, and releasing energy to be used for life processes. Understood? So this was the step. These were the steps in respiration that goes on. It starts from breathing and ends with exchange of carbon dioxide as well as providing energy to the body. Okay, so it's a long process. Now this is the pathway, how it goes on. Suppose you have taken in the air through the nostrils. When we inhale the air, then what is there? Nasal cavity is there. Nasal cavity is lined by, there is a thick lined by mucus and hairs, right? What is the work of that? They filter the air. Whatever dust particles are there, they will filter all those dust particles and impurities. They will get stuck into this nasal cavity and the hair itself. After that, air will enter to the epiglottis, right? This is the epiglottis over here, it is mentioned, and pharynx are also there. Over there also, this inhaled air will come, right? In the pharynx, when it will strike to larynx. Now again there is a epiglottis. There are two ways. One is there through which food passes out, and one is there through which air goes inside the body. All right. So, and in the middle of that there is a membrane known as epiglottis that prevents the mixing of these two things, right? And when the air strikes to the larynx, what happens? Larynx membrane vibrates and it helps in the production of sound whenever we speak, right? Now, after this air, epiglottis has allowed the air to enter into the body, it reaches to the trachea. Trachea, you can say windpipe, right? When it will enter, again this trachea bifurcates into two directions. One will go to the right lung and the other will go to the left lung. All right. So it carries the air to both the lungs. In even in the lungs, this trachea will, bifurcate into many sections, tiny bronchioles. Okay. To and what will happen? It will help to transport the air to these alveolar sacs. Inside the lungs, there are cluster of sacs known as alveoli, in which what happens? The exchange of gases takes place. All right, over there. So the respiration goes like this. Understood? This is the pathway of respiratory system. Capillaries are there, blood capillaries are there in the alveolar sacs, and over there only oxygen gas diffuses. All right. See, this is the process. Air usually enters the body through the nostrils. After the nasal, it enters after the nostrils. It enters to the nasal cavity. Air is filtered. Right, the lining is there of the hair and remove the tiny particles from the dirt of the dirt in the air. After that, what happens? Pharynx, what they do? They actually warm and moisten. Okay, warming and moistening goes on in this common passage of digestive and respiratory system. Epiglottis is there, a flap-like muscular valve. This controls the movements of food and air towards their respective passage. Larynx is there. This is the voice box, you can say. This is a stiff box in which your vocal cords are there. When the air strikes, it vibrates and sound is produced. After that, it enters the trachea, that is windpipe, which helps in the air channeling, right? This trachea gets bifurcated at its lower end into bronchus, right? Into the two parts, and one leading to each lung. After this, bronchus again bifurcates into the bronchioles, and these bronchioles enter the alveolus. These finally terminate in cluster of air sacs called alveoli in the lungs, which are very small and numerous. Okay, gaseous exchange takes place here as blood capillaries take up oxygen and expel carbon dioxide. The blood capillaries are there over there. What happened? Diffusion takes place, and this oxygen is taken up and carbon dioxide is expelled out. Now this oxygenated blood gets transported throughout the body, right? Blood carries oxygen to every cell of the body and collects CO2 from them. All right. See, epiglottis diverts the air into the lung. From the nasal cavity, air goes to the pharynx. There is a tricky problem here. From the pharynx, there are two passages, as I told you, beginning with nearly same opening and ending into the separate ones. Both are there. It is important. Now, this is also very important to understand that why the two passages are there. You have to keep in mind that the food entry and the air entry is completely different. You can see two passages over here. One passage is this one, and this passage is different. One is for breathing and another is for food. Okay, they never meet. All right, there is no mixing. And that is why this flap-like opening is there, epiglottis is there, which guides the path of food and air as well. All right. Next, mechanism of respiration in human beings. Now, what happens when you respire or when you breathe? Whenever you inhale the air, right? Like I'm inhaling. You will feel whenever you will inhale, your lung are a little bit gets lifted up over there. What is the role? See, here is the diaphragm. This is your chest cavity, right? This hole is your chest cavity. Okay, the ribs are there. These are the ribs. You can see inside the ribs, lungs are being protected. Lungs are embedded. But below the lung, there is a muscular stretch that is known as diaphragm. This guides the movement of the lungs. All right. Whenever you inhale, what happens? This stretches and it pushes the lung upwards and your lungs expand. Understood? All right. That's when they expand, you are inhaling your lungs will expand and your diaphragm will push a little upwards. All right. But when you will release air, what will happen? Your diaphragm will relax, right? So this is how the movement of the chest wall helps in the movement of the lungs as well. This you can feel by putting your hands on your chest as well while breathing. You will feel the power of the lungs as well. Your chest wall, one time it will be moved, it will go up, then it will go down, right? Now, gaseous exchange in the alveoli. This is important. See how it goes on. Gaseous exchange takes place within the lungs by diffusion from the alveoli to the capillaries and vice versa. The carbon dioxide in the blood is exchanged for oxygen in the alveoli. These tiny air sacs, see, these are the air sacs, all right, in which air is completely filled, and due to this filling of alveoli, only the volume of your lungs increase and they expand, okay. So they are surrounded by the blood capillaries. Blood, dark red in color, flows from the heart through these capillaries and collects oxygen from the alveoli. All right. At the same time, carbon dioxide also passes out, okay, of the capillaries into the alveoli. When we breathe out, we get rid of this carbon dioxide and the bright red oxygen-rich blood is returned to the heart. And what heart does, it supports that oxygenated blood to the entire body. Okay. As a result of gaseous exchange, the composition of inhaled and exhaled air is different. Oxygen inhaled is 21% and it is exhaled is only 16%. Okay, we take in more air, but we release lesser air. Carbon dioxide in inhaled air is 0.03% and in exhaled air it is 4.4%. How it is increasing? Because the carbon dioxide is also being collected from all the tissue cells, right? Nitrogen in inhaled air is 78%, which is equal in exhaled air as well. All right? And the total lung capacity of human being is 5800 ml. This much air you can inhale at a time. Normally at rest, who inhale or exhale, we inhale, exhale approximately 500 ml of air. 1200 ml of air remains in lungs after complete exhalation. Okay. Now, transportation of gases. We know that air is a mixture of gases that fills the lungs and the alveoli when it enters the body. The relative amount of different gases in air and their combining capacity with the hemoglobin and other substances in the blood determine their transport via blood. Means the combining capacity of hemoglobin is completely different of different elements in the body. When oxygen present in the air is within its normal limit, that is 21%, then almost all of it is carried by blood by binding it to the hemoglobin. A protein which is just like chlorophyll, but in chlorophyll there is a magnesium and in hemoglobin it is iron. Okay, that is present in red blood cells. As oxygen is diffused into the blood, it rapidly combines with hemoglobin and forms oxyhemoglobin. Understood? But not only oxygen, sometimes carbon dioxide also combines with the blood and it forms carboxyhemoglobin. Okay, which is dissolved in, see here it must be written carbon dioxide. It is usually transported as bicarbonate. Okay, some amount of it combines with hemoglobin and rest is dissolved in blood plasma. Now, these are the reactions written for the blood and oxygen. Hb is hemoglobin. It combines with four, you can say, what do we say? 4 oxygen and it forms HbO2 whole twice 4 in lungs. And this this HbO2 whole twice 4, it is known as carboxyhemoglobin. In the tissues, what happens? It is again released into, broken down into hemoglobin and oxygen, 4 atoms of oxygen. Gaseous exchange, capillaries to cells and back. In capillaries over the tissues, hemoglobin meets a very different environment. Okay, when hemoglobin is there in the capillaries, there is completely different environment. The tissue cells are continuously using oxygen. Hence, concentration of oxygen is quite low in them. It might be only 1/3 that is there in the lungs. As the concentration of oxygen is so low, oxyhemoglobin releases the oxygen molecule that enters the cell. And in the reaction that occur within the cell in our bodies, carbon dioxide and water are produced and energy is released, which is used for different purposes as well. See, this is the reaction in lungs. In lungs, oxygen, what do we say? Concentration is high. Oxygen concentration is high in lungs. That's why it is combining with hemoglobin at a very high rate. But in tissues, oxygen concentration is low. That is why it diffuses. Understood? Cellular respiration. What happens? Cellular respiration is carried out in mitochondria. Okay, the term cellular respiration refers to the pathway by which cells release energy by breaking chemical bonds of glucose molecule. Okay. The cellular respiration is essential process of life. So living cells must carry out cellular respiration as well. It can be in the presence of oxygen as well as in the absence of oxygen. And in the presence of oxygen, when cellular respiration takes place, it is known as aerobic respiration. And when it is in the absence, it is known as anaerobic respiration. What happens in this? In the aerobic respiration, sometimes what happens? Anaerobic respiration, sometimes what happens, formation of lactic acid takes place from the glucose or ethanol is formed. Okay, in the anaerobic respiration I am talking about. Okay, cellular respiration in the prokaryotic cells like that of bacteria occurs within the cytoplasm. Okay, in prokaryotes, cellular respiration occurs in the cytoplasm. In the eukaryotes, there are site of reaction which is known as mitochondria. And produced energy is stored in the mitochondria in the form of ATP. That is why mitochondria is also known as the powerhouse of the cell. Okay, how does this affect the energy release? As the change in the chemical nature of the molecule from one stage to the another stage is meager. Meager means what? Smaller. Small amount of energy is released, and the complete breakdown of sugar molecule with release of all its available energy involves a series of different chemical reactions. It is not going to happen at one reaction, but there are series of reactions. Okay, from the breakdown of glucose, the energy is released and stored up in a special compound known as ATP, that is adenosine triphosphate. Okay, it is a small amount of chemical energy. And the energy currency, that is ATP, it is rich compound that is capable of supplying energy whenever the cell is needed. Okay. Each molecule of ATP can give 70 to 100 calories of energy. And this energy is stored in the form of phosphate bonds. Make this point notable that energy stored in the ATP is in the form of phosphate bonds. When the bond is broken, the energy is released. All right. See what happens in the cellular respiration. Generally, there is a glucose. Glucose breaks down into two forms: pyruvate, that is three carbon compound, or pyruvic acid. And along with that, energy is released. This is the breaking of glucose, which is known as glycolysis. Pyruvic acid and glycolysis energy it will release. What will happen in the presence of oxygen? It will be known as aerobic respiration. And what will happen? See, carbon dioxide, water, and energy will be released when the breakdown of glucose will happen in the presence of oxygen. But when there will be absence of oxygen or low amount of oxygen, there will be either anaerobic respiration or fermentation. Okay. When there will be fermentation, then ethanol will be formed. Okay, ethanol, carbon dioxide, and energy will be the byproduct of reaction. Anaerobic respiration. It happens in yeast, right? And if there is absence of, you can say, oxygen, lactic acid and energy will be released. This happens in lactobacillus. Anaerobic respiration, I have been telling you that we have found that living things produce carbon dioxide and give out energy. If these processes are caused by an oxidation process, what happens if the oxygen supply is cut off? Right? What will happen? Then at that time, humans may die because we are not capable of carrying anaerobic respiration, but there are organisms that can carry out anaerobic respiration as well. Respiration versus combustion. Now, combustion also needs oxygen. Respiration also needs oxygen. So, what happened? Lavoisier, around 18th century, through a series of careful experiments, came to a conclusion that respiration was a process just like combustion. Okay, what did he wrote in his compilation in 1783? Respiration is a combustion process. It is a very slow process, and here oxygen is not only combining with carbon dioxide but also with hydrogen. Okay, he defined respiration like this, that it is a combustion process, and in this process what happens, uh, oxygen combines along with the carbon and hydrogen as well. Robinson also stated that respiration is a type of combustion, okay, and combustion is not the source of heat in animals. Now, students, let's come to respiration in plants. We already know that in plants, photosynthesis is carried out, right? So, there is a stomata. Stomata is present in the leaves. Through the stomata, there is the exchange of gases also that takes place. All right, students. What happens? There are other parts also on the plant surface, like roots are there, lenticels are there, stems are there. In the leaves, stomata is present. So these help in the gaseous exchange. Some specialized plants are also there, like mangrove is there, orchids are there. So they have what they have is specialized structures for roots or for for respiration, you can say. What happens within the plant? The stomatal openings lead to a series of spaces between the cells inside the plant. All right, there are many air spaces, as you can say over here, right, which form a continuous network all over the plant. The spaces are very large in the leaves, much smaller in other parts of the plant. In the leaves, they are larger, and in other parts, they are very small. Now, the air spaces are lined with water where the oxygen is dissolved in this and passes. All right. So, this is how gaseous exchange takes place. You can say these spaces are generally near the guard cells, right? And the spaces are there in the guard cells, water is there. So gases exchange can take place, oxygen can be taken in place from the water. So this is how it goes on. Aeration of roots, aerial roots, right? Most plant can aerate their roots by taking in the oxygen through the lenticels as well, right? How the roots are respiring. In the leaves, already we have come to a conclusion that stomata is there, air spaces are there, but what about the roots? Roots have also have air spaces, right? Like root hairs are also there. They're very thin and very small. So they obtain oxygen from the air spaces existing between the soil and the particles. But plants which grow in wet places such as ponds or marshy soils, they are unable to obtain oxygen. So they are adapted to specialized structures. Okay, like waterlogged, they are adapted to these waterlogged conditions by having much larger air spaces. In these plants, what happens, there are very big largest air spaces are there, right, making diffusion from the upper parts more efficient. Mangrove is the best example. Hanging roots are there, or aerial roots you can say. Photosynthesis versus respiration. See, what happens in photosynthesis? Plants carry out photosynthesis, which means that they produce their own food by the atmospheric carbon dioxide using light energy in the form of, in the presence of chlorophyll, right? And it involves the conversion of light energy into chemical energy, which is then used to synthesize sugar or glucose or starch, whatever you say. Now this process of synthesis or is an anabolic process which occurs in the chloroplast. An equation we have already learned, that is 6CO2 plus 12H2O in the presence of chlorophyll and light gives glucose, water and oxygen. Once this glucose is being produced in through the photosynthesis, what happens? Respiration starts, right? Because apart from food, plants also needs energy, right? What will happen? Now this breakdown of glucose will occur, okay? And what will happen, this glucose complex molecule, there will be a catabolic process to produce the chemical or potential energy. This is breakdown of glucose. This glucose will combine with oxygen. Okay, make a note. This synthesized glucose in the plant cell will combine with oxygen and it will form carbon dioxide, water and energy. Okay, photosynthesis and respiration appear to be opposing reactions, but both have very different biochemical pathways and are essential for plants' metabolism. See, that is why you can say photosynthesis occurs in day. You can say respiration occurs at night. Understood? All right, students. Now, I hope you have understood the things. Yes? Any questions if you have, you can ask in the chat box. Just give me 1 second. Let me see if you have any questions. All right. What you have not understood? Injiti Chandraro. Whatever you have not understood, please go through the video once again. And if still you do not understand, you can let me know. All right. All right, students. Now let's move to the questions. Let's do the questions quickly. Okay, just give me 1 second. Okay. First question. Respiratory organs in cockroaches are, and your options are blood vessels, mucus glands, gills, and trachea. Quickly do the, tell me the answers, students. What could be the correct answer? Respiratory organs in cockroach are blood vessels, mucus glands, gills, or trachea. The correct answer will be option 4, trachea. Okay. Next question. Several intermediate products are formed in combustion, respiration and combustion, respiration, heating charcoal powder. Several intermediate products are formed in. Okay. The correct answer is respiration. Several. There are many intermediate products. Right. So respiration is the right answer. Next question. Who wrote that respiration is a combustion? Very slow indeed, and oxygen not only combined with carbon but also with hydrogen. Lavoisier, Priestley, Engelmann or Ingenhouse. Who wrote that respiration is a combustion very slow indeed and oxygen not only combined with carbon but also with hydrogen? Yes, students, option one is the right answer. Those who have opted option one, they all are right. Next question. Hemoglobin of blood transports. And your options are number one, oxygen only. Number two, carbon dioxide only. Number three, both oxygen and carbon dioxide. Number four, nitrogen only. All right, many of you are telling me oxygen only. No students, my bad. Hemoglobin of blood does not okay, here we are talking about transportation, so it will be oxygen only, but sometimes it transports carbon dioxide as well. All right, but when we talk about transportation, it will be oxygen, because when carbon dioxide is transported, it is in the form of calcium carbonate. In plants, exchange of gases takes place through, and your options are number one, stomata, number two, surface of roots, number three, lenticels on stem, or number four, all the above. Before reading, I am getting number three option as the answer. But the correct answer will be option four, all the above. Okay. In plants, exchange of gases takes place through stomata, surface of root, and lenticels. All are having air spaces. Breathing roots or aerial roots are present in, and your options are number one, aquatic plants, number two, mangrove plants, number three, terrestrial plants, or number four, desert plants. We are talking about breathing roots or aerial roots. In which plant breathing roots are present, students? Aquatic plants, mangrove plants, terrestrial plants, or desert plants? You all are right, student. Very well answered. Option two is the right answer. That is mangrove plants. Very well. Next question. During daytime, the rate of this process is usually higher than respiration in plants. And your options are number one, photosynthesis, number two, transport, number three, nutrition, number four, respiration. Which process is at higher rate? Photosynthesis, transport, nutrition, or respiration? During the daytime we are talking about. And the correct answer will be photosynthesis. I told you, na, that is photosynthesis is the right answer. Next question. Which of the following is known as energy currency of cells in biology? And your options are number one, ATP, number two, DDT, number three, DTP, or number four, ADP. Which of the following is known as energy currency of the cells in biology? ATP, DDT, DDP, or ADP? Yes, number one is the right answer. That is ATP. Now, next question. These are the end products of aerobic respiration. And your options are number one, CO2, number two, H2O, number three, energy, or number four, all the above. End products of aerobic respiration is being asked, students. Carefully answer. CO2, H2O, energy, or all the above. Yes, option 4 is the right answer. Very well done. Next question. The air we breathe out precipitates water, lime water, sodium hydroxide, or sugar solution. Sorry, students. The air we breathe out precipitates water, lime water, sodium hydroxide, or sugar solution. Let's reveal the answer. That is lime water. Okay, option 2 is the right answer. Lime water. It turns milky. Next question. Cluster of air sacs in lungs are, and your options are number 1, alveoli, number 2, bronchi, number 3, bronchioles, or number 4, air spaces. Cluster of air sacs in lungs are alveoli, bronchi, bronchioles, or air spaces. The correct answer is option 1. Very well done, students. Next question. We will find vocal cords in larynx, pharynx, nasal cavity, or trachea. Those who are answering number 1, larynx, they all are right. Very well done, students. Next question. Respiration is a catabolic process because breakdown of complex food molecules, conversion of light energy, synthesis of chemical energy, or energy storage. For which reason respiration is a catabolic process? Quickly tell me the answer, students. All right, the correct answer is option 1. Very well done. Many of you have answered correctly. Excellent, students. Next question. Energy is stored in, and your options are number 1, nucleus, number 2, mitochondria, number 3, ribosomes, or number 4, cell wall. Where is energy stored? Nucleus, mitochondria, ribosomes, or cell wall? Yes, Shrivanila, you are very correct. That is mitochondria. Option 2 is the right answer, students. Next question. In this process, food is broken down to release energy. And your options are number 1, photosynthesis, number 2, excretion, number 3, respiration, or is it number 4, circulation? Food is broken down to release energy. Which process? Photosynthesis, excretion, respiration, or circulation? The correct answer is respiration. Okay. Those who have opted option 3, they are right. Next question. The gas liberated in heating powdered charcoal. And your options are number 1, carbon dioxide, number 2, carbon monoxide, number 3, nitrogen, or number 4, all the above. Which gas is liberated when we heat powdered charcoal, students? Students, just a second. Yes, the correct answer for this question is option 1, carbon dioxide. Okay. So those who have opted carbon dioxide, they are right. Next question. Exchange of gases takes place in these parts of lungs. And your options are number 1, bronchioles, number 2, alveoli, number 3, bronchus, or number 4, pleura. Pleura. It is pronounced as pleura. Exchange of gases takes place in these parts of lungs: bronchioles, alveoli, bronchus, or pleura. Yes, option 2 is the right answer, students. Very well. The gas needed for combustion of substance is, and your options are oxygen, carbon dioxide, phosphorus, or nitrogen. Here we are talking about combustion. So which gas is needed for combustion? The correct answer will be oxygen. Okay. Air is filtered in this part of respiratory system. And your options are number 1, nose, number 2, pharynx, number 3, larynx, or number 4, nasal cavity. In which part air is being filtered? Nose, pharynx, larynx, or nasal cavity? Quickly tell me this answer, students. The correct answer is nose. Okay, number 1. Oh, sorry, nasal cavity is not nose. Through nose, we inhale air, right? In the nasal cavity, there is hair lining and mucus. Next, this muscular valve in the pharynx controls movement of air and food towards their respective passages. And your options are number 1, esophagus, number 2, palate, number 3, glottis, or number 4, epiglottis. All right, the correct answer is option 4, epiglottis. Next question. Single-celled organisms takes in oxygen from air, soil, water, or both air and water. Yes, you are right, Venkat. My bad. Water will not be there. Both air and water is the right answer. This is the right answer, not water. Next question. Trachea is commonly called as windpipe, sound box, vocal cords, or septum. We are talking about trachea, students. Trachea is commonly called as windpipe, sound box, vocal cords, or septum. The correct answer is number 1, windpipe. Okay. Next question. The total lung capacity of human being is number 1, 5800 ml, number 2, 500 ml, number 3, 1200 ml, number 4, 4000 ml. This is very important question, students. Many times this question has been asked, the total lung capacity of human being. And the correct answer is option number 1, 5800 ml. Okay. Next question. If the alveoli of our lungs are spread out, they will cover an area of nearly 60 meters square, 160 meters square, 80 meters square, or 100 meters square. The correct answer is Option 2, 160 meters square. All right, students. One more last question. Let's do. Which is, see, 160 meters square, which is equivalent to the area of a tennis court. Okay. Next question. Let's do. The muscular structure in the chest cavity that separates abdomen from respiratory system is rib cage, diaphragm, epiglottis, or esophagus. This is also a very important question. And the correct answer for this question is option 2. Yes, very well answered. All right, student, let's do till here. I hope you all have enjoyed. Okay. And we will meet super soon in the next class with next topic. All right. Till then, stay tuned and do not forget to subscribe our channel. That is Jatadhara Educational Technology. Thank you so much, students. Bye-bye.